Good morning, dear students. Today we will discuss about the topic fuel supply system in a SI engine. Okay, how to supply a fuel from fuel tank to engine. Okay, that we are going to study today. Okay, so if you want to send a fuel that is from the fuel tank to a engine, so these are the some parts in between fuel tank to engines are connected. Okay, so the system in petrol engine mainly consists of the below parts. That is, the first one is the fuel storage tank, second one is fuel pump, fuel filter, carburetor, inlet manifold and inlet valve. Okay, to supply any fuel from fuel tank to carburetor to run the vehicle means it has some consistent sequence of supplying a fuel. Okay, it consists of, this is a schematic diagram for supplying a fuel from fuel tank to engine. Okay, first here we will look at the diagram here. So first part is connected is fuel tank, that is if it is using a diesel means diesel tank, if it is using a fuel means petrol means fuel, it is called as a petrol tank, fuel tank. Okay, so fuel tank is connected with fuel filter, then that filter is connected with a fuel pump, and fuel pump is connected with a carburetor. In carburetor it is connected with two port, that is one for the air filter, that is atmospheric air is coming continuously into the carburetor, and one more is air to the engine cylinder. Okay na? So this is about the main parts of fuel, to supply the fuel from fuel tank to engine. Okay, so how it will work, how to supply a fuel from engine, so I'm going to explain now. So look at this carefully. So this question may ask you around 8 mark question. Explain with a neat sketch. Explain with a neat sketch how fuel will be supplied in a SI engine. Okay, so first look at here, fuel tank. In fuel tank normally it will store the fuel. Okay, now if it is petrol means petrol, that is air, as the name indicate, tank means to store, or it is also called sometime reservoir. Okay na? In fuel tank, from the fuel tank fuel is supplied to the fuel pump with the help of filter. So in filter they will filter if any particle, that is any dust particle, any some raw material, if it is included in the fuel tank means they will filter, then they will pass into the fuel pump. Okay na? From the fuel pump, as you know, as we know, pump nothing but it is a circulation of water or circulation of fuel, anything. Okay na? From the pump, that is a filtered fuel coming from the fuel tank is enters into the fuel pump. From the fuel pump it will enter into the carburetor. See the arrow indication along with the parts. Okay na? So the filtered fuel is enters into the carburetor. The what is the main function of carburetor is, it is the main function of carburetor is to mix a proportional amount of air and fuel, then supply to the engine cylinder. That is the main function of a carburetor. Okay na? The filtered fuel is enter into the carburetor with the help of some pump. Okay na? In carburetor some air is continuously coming from the atmosphere and enter into the carburetor with some help of some air filter. Okay na? Filtered air it will come, any it will not contain any dust particle, pure air is entered into the carburetor. Okay, from the carburetor some amount of air, that is and some amount of fuel, that is equal proportional, air plus and fuel as mixed together, and it will supply the engine cylinder. Okay na? So I shown here in the indication diagram also, air plus fuel in equal proportional. Okay na? It should not contain any dust particle, that is supplied to the engine cylinder. So in engine cylinder, normally in the cylinder combustion takes place. Okay na? So in engine cylinder there is a spark plug is connected. Okay na? When the fuel is enters into the engine cylinder, again there are four working takes place. It is suction, compression, power and exhaust gas. Okay na? Suction means it will suck the air fuel, compression means it will compress and increase the pressure and temperature, and power stroke it will work out. Okay na? It will work, during working the energy is released. Okay na? Some energy or some power is developed in the engine cylinder. Okay na? That cylinder is transferred to the that engine. Okay na? That engine. Okay na? From the engine power is developed so that we can move the vehicle. Okay na? This is about the working of fuel supply from the fuel tank to fuel engine. Okay na? In SI engine. Okay na? This is a schematic diagram. Okay, so here same I told the some definition of that for particular component. What I explained here, same components are there. Fuel storage tank means the fuel tank made by the fuel tank made from the pressed steel or coated inside to prevent corrosion. It will made up of some steel. Okay na? To prevent the corrosion of oil, etc. And inside the fuel tank is normally located the fuel gauge, sender unit and electrically driven fuel pump within a primary filters. Okay na? So here it is made up of steel, and with it will prevent the corrosion. So second one is fuel pipes. Fuel pipes, so these are made from a steel or plastic and are secured pipe by very tightly with the help of some clips, okay, and it will allow the engine movement and vibration, okay, and rubber hoses connected pipes to the engine. Later fuel pumps are special connectors which require special tools or disconnect the pipes, okay. So fuel pump is nothing but the main function of this one is it is used to petrol engine, as there is no need to extra for high pressure of the fuel. The fuel pump is extremely used to pump the fuel from the fuel tank to the carburetor. That is the main purpose of fuel pump is used, okay. Now filter, so the main function of filter is to filter the fuel from the atmospheric or the coming from the fuel tank, to remove the some unwanted if anything dust particle, okay na. So normally it will make the clean the fuel, okay na. So it is called as fuel filter. So carburetor is, I already told, it is a device which mixes the fuel with air and supplies the mixture of two induction manifold of the petrol engine that is supplied to the engines where power can be developed, okay na. This is about the working of air supply from fuel tank to SI engine, okay na. That is engine of SI engine, okay. I hope you understand this, okay na. So 6 to 8 marks they may ask you this question, okay na. Explain with a neat sketch of how to supply fuel system, fuel supply from fuel tank to, yes, that is engine, how to run, how to develop the power, okay. I hope you understand this. Thank you.